The winter might be one of the most recognizable areas in Pilgrimmed. Most iconic for its two bosses, it also has some pretty big lore. But before we get into the lore, first we'll do the bosses. As of right now, the winter has two bosses, Snow Cultist and False Believer. Snow Cultist is a icy ballerina who likes to spin. To defeat Snow Cultist, you have to know how to parry, and I'm not very good at that. And the game makes sure you know at the very start of the fight, where if you get close enough to Snow Cultist, he will try to backstab you. And either if you will die, or you're going to be so low that you're going to die just late in a couple of moves. Also, almost every move is parryable, except for some attacks. I say some attacks, it's just one attack where he uses the ice spikes. Getting Snow Cultist to half of its HP, it will enter to its second phase. The second phase in itself is nothing crazy, really. The only major difference is Snow Cultist will now try to backstab you like he did at the start of the fight, but now he'll do it more often. And he does like a bit more damage, but the interesting part is when the second phase starts, he starts bleeding. Now, Snow Cultist isn't human, he is a snow husk. So it's just a little side note that the snow husks can bleed. Now, False Believer. False Believer is also a snow husk who worships spells. He used to be a part of the Snow Cultist, but left. Upon approaching False Believer, he attacks you through the fog and then gets closer. Unlike Snow Cultist, many of his attacks cannot be parried. There is of course still some moves that can be parried, but this man is very fast and can do so much damage to you in seconds. Upon reaching his second phase, he will start summoning these little bell orbs that will start appearing and homing in on you. After his defeat, he will start asking help from his bell. In a similar fashion as Snow Cultist, he'll explode in a ball of light. Although that's not the end of his story, but I'll get onto that later. But now onto why it works so well. This is the main reason I made this video. About a year ago, I saw a poll on the Pilgrimmed Wiki asking who was harder, False Believer or Snow Cultist. The results were pretty split, and when I was first reading it, I thought it was obviously Snow Cultist. I mean, I was able to defeat False Believer solo, but I can even beat Snow Cultist with a group of people at the time. But as I thought of it more, I realized my playstyle was very different from many other players. I almost never parried, and for the most part, I just dodged the attacks from the bosses. Although this did later on bite me in the butt with the new modern bosses, like Kai Lazarite and Kata. But because I was so used to dodging the attacks, made False Believer beatable for me. Not saying that was easy, I died very, very many times to him. But I was still able to defeat him. But with Snow Cultist, I couldn't. And in my opinion, that's brilliant. Having two bosses that both play relatively different is really cool. False Believer, you have to dodge all of his attacks, and Snow Cultist, you have to parry all of his attacks. So you have these two different bosses with two completely different play styles. I've always thought that was a really cool thing, especially considering in lore they are enemies, so even then they are different. I just thought that was super cool. And probably talk about the lore of the winter. And it all starts with Old Fart, actually. Now, I'm not too sure about all this guy's lore, but we do know something, such as he invades the dreams of sentient creatures, like Ploma, making them go insane. Old Farts is everyone's dreams and everyone's nightmares. The winter is one of his manifestations, one of his dream realms. The others being the catacombs and the Kai Dojo. If you want more lore on Old Fart, there's this very nice video. I'll drop a link in the description, as a decent chunk of this information comes from that video. Our story starts with a man named Gale, leader of the Snow Cultists. Gale has defeated his own version of Old Fire, but it seems like it made him go crazy. Gale's main goal is to cover the world in ice, but on the outside, he's a very kind person, acts like a gentleman, talks really fancy. He's actually very manipulative. He wants you to be on his sides to get what he wants done, like killing False Believer, since False Believer was an ex-Snow Cultist member. If you start talking to him at first, he puts you in the winter. That he's like your main transportation to the winter scale. But if you be in False Believer and then talk to him, you will mention how you've seen him, and he will ask if you could help him, like, finally defeat him, because even though you have killed him, he is still here. And he also mentions that False Believer's belief in his bell is so great that it's manifested into something that can threaten the little dream world your likes. It will then go on to ask you to find him. If you find him, it will just be a giant bell. Yep. He asked his bell for help, and he turned into a giant bell. I mean, it worked. He's alive. And then if you go tell Gale, you can summon Gale, and he'll presumably kill False Believer, and then he'll teach you the art, the spin. But you can also, now here's the cool part, you can side with False Believer and betray Gale. Yeah. I really wish I did this route, because I thought the option didn't matter and the outcome would be the same. Combine that with the mashing button and not reading on accident. I went to the Snow Cultist route, so I missed this really cool thing where False Believer will help you kill Snow Cultist. Isn't that really cool? And then he also teaches you the way of the bell. I wanted to know the way of the bell. Luckily there's this guy you can talk to that can show you the way of the bell, even if you didn't help False Believer. If you go back and talk to Gale after defeating, or after siding with False Believer instead of Gale, you'll get very mad at you and will kill you on the spot. Basically locking that way into the winter. But our good friend False Believer has come up with an alternative. He will give you this tiny little chime bell, and ringing it will send you straight to the winter. No more having to climb up these icy pillars and talk to Gale to go into the winter. Now you just have to ring this small little bell. Mentions things I probably should talk about. There's quite a few other snow husks in the winter, and there's like one actual normal human in the winter. It's not very important. These are all these snow husks are like stuck in the winter. But there's these creatures called mucks. They're like these big bugs, and they hunt in groups. And they're really cool, but also kind of annoying. There's really no information about them, sadly. Strays are shredded snow husks trapped in the storm. They also seem to be related to the Snow Cultists due to their mass. Strayed oracles are these weird hooded snow cultists, not snow cultists, they could be, I don't know. Snow husks that wield a sword that uses ice. Not too much is known about the stray oracles, but there is a normal oracle missing his arm under a bridge near the Snow Cultist church. The oracle is too injured to fight, and he mentions how he would have already killed you if not for the arm. He then goes on to talk about how it took him losing his arm to see or pass according to him. His dialogue changes based on who you sided with, and he's the guy who gives you the other styles, the other techniques based on who you chose. That was pretty nice. And that's all for the winner. Now, with all that being said, the winner isn't this perfect place. There's definitely some flaws with like you barely being able to see because of all the fog and the fact that you have to do all this parkour most of the time. But other than that, the winter is one of the craziest and most lore-filled places in all of Pilgrimmed. And I really like the winter. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'll see you goobers in the next one. Bye bye!